Before we begin, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Mr. Qobuz, and I review stuff that gets me fired up. Today, I wanted to do a quick channel update with you guys and then get into a discussion and review about a program called Roon. So right up until recently, my music's been primarily streamed from Amazon Music. Now, sound quality's been stellar, but going through the BlueOS app is really limited from a usability standpoint. Now, from my understanding, this is more Amazon's fault than Bluesound's, but I mean, it is what it is, I guess. There's just a lot of room for improvement. And to be honest, I haven't seen any in the year I've been using it. So this brings us to my update. Now, I recently had the opportunity to try out Qobuz, and I find the way that it interacts with BlueOS to be like far superior than what I was used to with Amazon Music. I'll get into more details on this later, but my takeaway here is now that I have Qobuz, there's just no going back. It's pretty great. If you've seen my audio trip series from a while back, you may remember me trying out Roon while demoing integrated amps with my KEF speakers. Now, I really enjoyed this experience, but since you need a subscription to either Tidal or Qobuz, this was sort of a brick wall for me. Now that I have the Qobuz subscription, this is something that I'm actually really excited to check out. So, what is Roon? To put it simply, Roon is a program that organizes all of your music and lets you play it on various devices around your local network. Roon is a paid service, and their fee does not include those streaming services. So the one question that I want answered by the end of this video is this: why would you pay for a middleman type program like Roon that goes in between streaming services that I already have to pay for and my streamer, when we already have access to this for free? You know, like with Bluesound Node, Wii Mini, not to mention all the native streaming apps that come with the streaming services themselves. They're already pretty useful as is. Why spend all this extra cash when you don't really have to? What's Roon got for me? What does it offer that no one else does? That's what I want to find out here. At the very least, I'd like a better understanding of why this even exists. So today, my friends, we're going to sign up, do an install, jump through whatever hoops we need to jump through, and see what happens. As always, you're getting my completely honest and unbiased opinion, and I guess we'll just see where it goes. All right, so I've created my Roon account, and now I've got to go download the program, I guess. I got to download the Roon software. So let's do that. Just doing this like vlog style. It's very exciting. Vlog. So let's download the software.
Game begin. When the drum beats go, play this.
All right, so that was a lot quicker and less involved than I thought it would be. I basically just signed in, I connected my Qobuz account, and it just did all this stuff really quickly, and everything's in there. So now I guess the next step is installing this on an iPad and possibly an iPhone and seeing whether it works on another computer to access my Roon core, which is on my M1 Mini. and just basically test it out on my system, my main system downstairs. So yeah, let's see how that goes. And so far, so good. Right there. I think this is what I need. This is called Roon Remote. So I'm going to download that now. It's a very satisfying little noise. Okay, so here I am in my main listening setup. I have set everything up with my iPad and my iPhone, and I set it to play through the Bluesound node to use that as a Roon endpoint, and I guess it's streaming from upstairs in my M1 Mini. So a bit of a mixed bag so far, and I'm not sure what to do. Now, the problem that I'm having is I'm not getting clean audio, and I'm gonna look into what to do, but it's crackling and popping almost like just bad internet radio. This is a problem. I guess I'll figure it out and keep you appraised. So that's it for now. We'll figure out what to do. I have no idea. All right, it's been a very long day. I've had a lot of trouble with Roon and my Bluesound. So what happened was I was getting all this crackling and popping, and it was pretty consistent, and it was just ruining each and every song I was trying. Roon was suggesting some freaking amazing tracks that I've never heard before, and then the Bluesound was just killing it somehow, and I didn't know what was going on. So I basically spent the entire day troubleshooting. I was on the phone for an hour with ASUS, with their tech support in the Philippines, and that was to no avail. I tried like so many different settings on my router. I have a very complex router setup, and I thought that was the problem. But I gave up on that because everything I tried it was the same problem over and over again. So what I did was I tried to cast the Roon stream directly to my Hegel, because my Hegel actually has Roon. It doesn't do it completely bit perfect. It's the H190, so it doesn't, I don't know, it converts it to, I don't know, I'll put it up on the screen, whatever it is. But the thing was, it worked freaking perfectly. So now I'm like, it can't be my network. It's got to be something else, because I'm not having any dropouts or pops on the Hegel, and it's all connected to the exact same router that the Bluesound was. So I swapped cables and like the network ports, and I went back to the Bluesound, same problem. So and now I thought maybe it's my DDC, Singster SU6, I think it's called, and I unplugged it, and I plugged the Bluesound node directly in through coax, through my coax cable. And lo and behold, it works just as well, and it sounds better than the Hegel, because now it's plugged into my my Denafrips. Oh man, I'm tired. My Denafrips Venus 2. So I think, great, it's working. There's something wrong with my DDC. But when I play through Qobuz directly to my Bluesound, it sounds amazing with the DDC. So I don't know what's going on there, but it's just not working. But it works perfect without the DDC and going through coax. So then I'm on the internet and I find this. Here we go. And it's entitled, can you see it? It's entitled Crackling on N130 Node Using Roon with USB Out. So all of these people are having the exact same problem. And then Bluesound says, oh, well, you've got to, switch some things around, and it has to do with the MQA. And then people are complaining, well, they've done that, but they're on Qobuz just like me and having the same problem. So this this is the type of stuff that I can't stand. I mean, it's just so annoying. You know, Blue Sound blames Roon. Roon probably blames Blue Sound, and they're like, they're both shrugging their shoulders, and, you know, maybe a fix will come down the road, but I don't care. I've isolated the problem, and I just spent the last hour listening to stuff like, I'm gonna put something up on the screen, this freaking epic song that I've never heard before that Roon suggested, and I've just been having a blast. So yeah, I can't go through my DDC, and that kind of sucks, but at the same token, at least I know my problem wasn't, you know, more complex, having to do with my internet setup with all my frickin' routers as access points and around my property. Anyways, so that's the update. It's been a really long day. So this brings us to today's pro tip. If you guys want to try out Roon, and I suggest you do, and are using a Blue Sound node with an external DAC, do not connect the two via USB. Coax is what you want to use, and King in this scenario. Works perfectly. I hope Blue Sound and Roon figure out a way to sort this out soon, and if and when they do, I'll let you guys know by leaving a pinned comment below. This sort of reminds me of when I used to build PCs out of, you know, various random parts that I would spec out, and everything would look great on a spec sheet. It would look like a really beast of a machine. But in reality, there are all these inconsistencies and incompatibilities that there's no way you could foresee them. And, you know, eventually I got really frustrated with this whole process, and I bought a Mac, and because they designed the software and the hardware, it's just like, oh, you plug it in and everything works as it should. And I guess I mentioned this because, you know, it's parallel. I figured, you know, everything should just work right off the bat, and it didn't. You know, a Blue Sound node says on the webpage they say it's Roon ready, and yeah, I mean technically it works with a, you know, huge asterisk and caveat if you're using USB out. So besides these weird incompatibilities I'm having, let's discuss more of the negative points that I could think of. Yeah, I'm sorry for being a wet blanket. It won't be long. Roon has no phone support. I know this is more common nowadays, but I have questions and would love a nerd at a call center to just spoon feed me the answers. I'd save so much time. I remember setting up my Sonos speakers when I got them, and the dude on the phone helped me with router settings and just getting everything up and running completely well. With Roon, you can post your questions on their community section of their webpage and search their knowledge base, which is extensive, but not nearly as helpful as calling a 1-800 number. So Roon, being a middleman type of program, potentially makes things shaky and unpredictable. Like, they sell lifetime subscriptions, but how do we know that they're really going to be around for our lifetime? They could potentially quit or go under, get bought out, get absorbed. Qobuz and Tidal could potentially just decide to stop working with them. Not to mention, you could get an update to your streamer that makes Roon just not work anymore on your system. Like, nothing's really guaranteed here. So all that aside, like the old cheesy saying goes, it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Well, as it stands right now, I happen to love Roon. So let's get into why. You know, it's really interesting that the money that some of us end up spending on our audio systems, that is just so lopsided with the money that we spend on the music itself, right? Now, I like my music, and don't get me wrong, I'm totally smitten with my gear and the prospect of getting new gear, but so many times I'm left with the indecisive, you know, what do I want to listen to? And sure, I can default to my old favorites, and usually do, and complain about garbagey music today, you know, and believe me, I have. But how am I supposed to find new music if I don't listen with an open mind? And Roon has this figured out so well that this alone is worth the price of admission here. Their algorithm is the best I've experienced so far, besting Apple and even Tidal, both of which were already decent in my view. As far as what to play next, what to subtly introduce me to, what ends up shocking me, you know, like, how did I not know that this group even existed type of reactions? You don't even need to set anything. It just gives you the music you didn't know you wanted at the end of the song that you picked. It's just amazing. So I nearly spit out my drink last night when Mars Volta came on through Roon Radio with a song that I had never listened to before. An entire album that I didn't even know existed, released last month. So yeah, I guess they got back together. I had no idea. Are you freaking kidding me? I played the album Where Is Home by Hot Kake. I'm not sure if I pronounced it right, but yeah. Then Roon Radio comes on and it follows that up with the most interesting and unusual tracks from there. And it was so much fun. It was just such a cool trip. So yeah, this is the type of window into new music that Roon is now giving me. I mean, normally when I play music on my main system and I have to go do something, I'll just leave it running in the background and rejoin eventually. But with Roon's choices here, I feel like I don't want to miss out while I'm gone, so I find myself actually pausing it. Roon FOMO is kind of like a thing now. So Roon's UI. You know, reviewers really aren't supposed to use words like best to describe stuff, but there's really no other way for me to articulate Roon's user interface and how it compares with its competition. Best in show, best in breed. But for the money that they ask, it better well be, right? So let's do a quick tour. I'm not going to do an extensive deep dive in the UI because I don't want this video to drag too much. Instead, I'm going to leave a link in the description below so you can download Roon yourself and check it out. Currently, they're offering a 2-week trial, which in my opinion is way more than enough time to see if it's a good fit for you and works well with your system. So I totally encourage you to do this. So here's my recent activity. And if you scroll down, new releases for you. So I could check out any one of these. Daily mixes. And then here are Roon playlists that they suggest. This is really interesting. So this gauges the amount of time and lets you know when you listened and how much you listened, which is really cool. So Friday and Saturday, I listened to a ton. And then it breaks down what you've been listening to in a little graph here. And this is what they call the magazine layout. Just a ton of data. If I want to play it from my computer here, I'll just click on this. And then it plays almost instantly. If we click on this, 48 kilohertz, 24-bit 2-channel. And then this tells you how it's getting into your speakers via the Blue Sound node. Really straightforward. And let's say I want to click on the album. So let's get more info on the album. And then each and every album you get like a nice little blurb. And then if you scroll down, you get more albums by the same band. And from there you can get recommended albums and similar artists. So we could click here on Tame Impala. And we just get a ton of information about them. And you could even click on the genres. So let's click on indie rock. And these are indie rock from my library. New releases. And it's just so extensive. You could just really go on your own little audio trip within the app here. This is to transfer different zones. So right now, I basically I'm only able to transfer to Hegel and my Bit Perfect Beast, which are both in the same system. I think this is my Sonos, but I'm not sure what happens when oh, it's transferring to my Sonos in the kitchen. Oh, and I can hear it downstairs. That's crazy. Okay, neat. Oh, here's my Wii Mini. So wow, I didn't realize I could even stream Roon to my Wii Mini. Very interesting. If you've noticed, it says Roon Radio. So it's given me something that I didn't tell it to play because it was at the end of the album there. So you could thumb it up or thumb it down, or you could skip it entirely. And then it asks you, why did you skip? This is what ends up improving the algorithm over time. All right, so I've skipped it again, and now it's playing I Don't Know This Band. And it's picked by Roon Radio. So if I enjoy it, I can click thumbs up. If I'd like to add it to my library, I can just do that from here, and then it adds it to my Roon library and my Qobuz library, which is really cool. All right, here we are in my main setup, my listening room. And you'll notice that the TV is off and my Hagel is on, but I turned the volume to 0 so I won't get a copyright strike. Also, these two massive speakers, these are my Cornwalls. They look a lot bigger than they are in real life because this is such a wide angle lens that I'm using for this. So I just wanted to note that. And so let's grab my iPad and I'm going to open Roon. Here, let me see. There we go, so you can see it. So here, Roon's on, and you'll notice it's very similar from what you saw on the computer screen. So the iPad app is really nicely polished, the iPhone app as well. So let's hit play and I'll show you what happens. So we're hitting play. Oops, and look at that. So I did not turn the TV on myself. It just does it automatically. So my TV, it's an older TV from a couple of years ago, but it's got Google as an operating system. So it just knows to turn on whenever I press play in Roon, and you could set different things up with it. It is super, super cool. So here, so now what we're going to do is we're going to change tracks on the iPad. So I'm going to go here, Mars Volta, and we're going to play the first song here. Okay, and then you'll notice it changes on the TV as well. But what you'll also notice, it says 3, 2, 1, like a karaoke, and then they go into the lyrics. So you could read along with what they're singing, and it's super cool. So this feature alone, it just blows me away. It's just one of those things that you don't think you need or want, and then once it's put in front of you like this, it's really hard to not want it happening in the background while you're chilling and listening to music. So normally I cover, I think it's like a 95-inch TV. It's either 90 or 95, I don't know, I'll put it on the screen. But I normally cover it with a massive blanket to help with acoustics and reflections. But I have to fight myself to, there's like an inner struggle whether I want to watch the screen or use the blanket and have just slightly better acoustics. So I just think that this is such a cool feature. I really, really like it. And it's just one of those little things that you don't want to be without once you start using it. It's just super cool. And it always displays the artwork in the background, and depending on the amount of info and amount of artwork that they have on a certain album or a certain band, it'll change in the background, giving you a couple different photos. Super, super cool. And I needed to mention this. So the thing I like about this interface is there's always a clear sort of direction of where to go next. What do you want to listen to next? Oh, you like that artist? Here's their discography. Oh, you like that genre? Here's something that we recommend. So if you don't want to just be mindless and let Roon Radio take over, which I absolutely love as well, there's always there's an easy spot to go to next and learn about a new band or learn about the band that you've been listening to for a long time, but have just never bothered learning about them and their specific albums. this is just such a cool interface as far as that stuff's concerned, and just so much more useful and engaging than anything else that I've tried before. I mean, you check out Amazon on the Blue Sound, and it's just dead. It's cold and dead in comparison. And and like the native apps are decent, but even Apple and Tidal is just, it's not as engaging, and there isn't a clear path on, where you could go next, which tracks you could learn about. It's just, I really, really like this interface. It's freaking amazing. All right, on to the conclusion. We chase audio gear to try and take our music experience to the next level. Ideally, we want this gear to make us feel something new and different. Now, if you followed my hi-fi trip, you could see that each step I took translated itself into a noticeable jump in sound quality. Roon doesn't do this, but instead ends up affecting the larger picture more than new audio gear might. It's the next big step for me. I wasn't sure it would be at first, and it's certainly not perfect, but it does something that no other interface has been able to do. Roon connects me with music, and the way it does this is so next level. So in the beginning of this vid, I wanted to know why Roon even existed when there's free apps that you already have access to. I'm gonna give you guys an analogy, so prepare yourselves. Think of Roon as a professional chef that you may hire to cook your family's meals. Just stay with me. Now, this chef makes you brand new dishes from all over the world, or just takes your order if that's what you feel like. They shop for the fresh produce, and they cook your breakfast, and they cook your dinner, and bam, there it is on the table for you. Man, this would be so amazing, like no more of those conversations like, what should we do for dinner? I don't know, what do you feel like? I don't know, I'm tired, I don't feel like cooking. Let's do delivery. Let's get drive-through. Now, I know hiring a professional chef is a total pipe dream for most, myself included, and complete luxury, but oh my God, would it be an amazing quality of life improvement, right? That is what Roon does for music. So now the only question that I struggle with is monthly versus lifetime subscription. Let me know what you guys think below. Anyways, that's all I got for today. Make sure you leave a like to help the algorithm, it really does help. And sub if you're not subbed, and thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you soon. Bye. Now, the only question that I'm struggling with is monthly versus lifetime subscription. I can't even say subscription, lifetime subscription. Wow, why is it so hard to talk English? This is my first language for biscuits. Ooh, subscription. Let's go. Now, the only question that I'm struggling with is monthly versus lifetime. No, I can't say life. This is when you know it's too late to be recording. Now, the only question that I'm struggling with is monthly versus lifetime subscription. It's done. Oh my God.
Game over.